play through games, usually first-person games, and talk about what I think is going on in the level design with them. And last week we did a small indie game called Trackless, and that's kind of within this whole genre of a lot of like what are called walking simulator kind of games, or you could link it to that genre anyway. And I wanted to talk about a few walking simulator games, maybe, for the next few weeks. So today we're doing Dear Esther. We'll see how far we get. Maybe we'll get like halfway through. I don't know. I'm playing the original source mod version, not the original like Source Engine standalone release of Dear Esther. So let's get into it. So, I have to confess, I've kind of done a terrible thing here. I've kind of deleted all of the voiceover files in Dear Esther, which is actually a really key part of Dear Esther, but, oh, there's no mic audio? Oh. No, there is mic audio. Yeah, I've actually deleted all the voiceover in this game. Even though voiceover is really important to this game, I have a feeling I'll be fighting with the narrator about it, so I've done just a really terrible act of sacrilege here, and I've gotten rid of all the voiceover. Or I think all the voiceover, so that I can talk in peace. But hopefully most of the sound and music is still preserved, so we'll see about that. Anyway, here's how Dear Esther begins. You start on this kind of like boat launch area off this coast. I imagine some players might feel like they should go off into the water and let the ocean take them. And if you do that, you kind of just die instantly. So you probably shouldn't go into the water like that. So that's kind of copying a like Half-Life 2 trope. Well, Half-Life 2 has a coastline area section where you can walk into the ocean and like drown yourself if you want. And if you do that, there'll be like little leeches that kill you. So it's kind of in the tradition of Half-Life 2 because it's kind of in the same engine. And also, the main level designer for this project, Dan Pinchbeck, was probably also inspired by that tradition of design too. Anyway, we're walking around here. We also have to keep in mind the two other main auteurs of Dear Esther. One of them is the sound artist and composer, Jessica Curry. We also have to think about the person who's responsible for making Dear Esther look really beautiful now, and that guy's named Robert Briscoe. Robert Briscoe's an indie dev in the UK, and he worked on the original Mirror's Edge. So see if you can like spot, you know, some parts of Dear Esther that feel like Mirror's Edge. You might not be able to because a lot of the art direction just looks very different, right, than Mirror's Edge, but we'll see. Oh, in the chat people are asking what version this is, so there are actually 3 versions of Dear Esther. I promise I'll start talking about the level design soon. There are 3 versions of Dear Esther. One is the original mod version, released in 2008, and then next is this version that was remade and standalone and sold on the Steam store. And this is the most popular version that I think most people know. And this was remastered and remade by Robert Briscoe. And then there's a third version called the Landmark Edition, where Robert Briscoe ported everything into the Unity engine because Source Engine does not have good cross-platform support. So if he wanted to put it on the PS4 or Xbox One, to make more money, that would have been really hard unless he ported it to Unity. So there's actually 3 different versions of Dear Esther you can play, but I'm playing the most common one, I think. Also, this is the one where I know I can mess around with the console commands and stuff. Anyway, we're in this boat launch area. This Dear Esther is supposed to resemble like England, a very specific part of England, I'm told. I haven't visited this part of England, but it looks pretty damn dreary to me. But I understand English people are very proud of how dreary England is on a regular basis. One time I visited London, and in London it was just so nice and sunny, and every English person I talked to was like, don't worry, like don't get used to this. It's not usually like this. London is usually cold and terrible. And they were like apologizing for the good weather, which is very English, it strikes me. Anyway, you can see here it's like very crusty. I think crusty is the word that comes to mind when I'm looking at this environment. Like there's just so much like dirt and like patina everywhere. And you can imagine this is kind of what a lot of like coastal areas look like. The salty air actually is kind of corrosive, and it damages a lot of buildings and concrete on a regular basis. So I'm pretty sure this is kind of accurate. Like salt encrusted concrete or plaster probably does maybe look a little bit like this. As we walk around, we can see here a boat. But it's broken. There's no way off this island. We cannot take this boat and leave Dear Esther. We're stuck here. So as we walk over here, I imagine a lot of players, when they play this, they'll go inside this house. So let's try going in this house. When you go inside the house, it turns on a flashlight automatically, which I kind of like. Dear Esther's kind of thought of as one of the like most accessible kind of first-person games you can get people to play. So, you know, if you have like friends or family in your life who don't play many first-person games, Dear Esther's like a nice place to like ease them into it. And one of these accessibility features is this automatic flashlight, which is really handy. So let's walk around, look at this like really decrepit like crack house or something. I really like just all the detail. I really like how like dirty everything is. Like it's just so grungy in a way that you don't usually see in a lot of games. Like maybe since like the Call of Duty generation. Like nowadays you play games like Destiny or something, or like the new Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, where it's just super clean, the art style. Because that kind of looks more expensive, and it looks more like it's worth your $60. Meanwhile, when you have like a crusty art style like this, it just looks almost like there's just like all this like JPEG compression going on. And if you like walk up to this, you know, it's not that high resolution of a texture right here. It's still a little bit blurry. So it looks really nice, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't look like 2017 nice or whatever. But I still think the art direction holds up really well as a whole. So here we are in this really terrible bathroom. This is a really creepy bathroom. Like, I would not have sex in this bathroom. Or maybe I would. I don't know. Maybe it's pretty deserted. Maybe this is a good bathroom to have sex in. Although, I mean, this toilet is pretty filthy and disgusting. I don't know why they had to make the toilet that gross. But I guess that's in the, like... I feel like in video games we have a tradition of making toilets gross. Yeah, I don't know. Like ever since like if you play the original militia map in Counter-Strike, the militia map had an Easter egg where there was a piece of poop in the toilet, and you could like shoot the piece of poop and it would like explode or something. That was just like weird. Like I think in video games we do have this tradition of like potty humor or whatever. Also, here's a good old radiator, my namesake. It is a pretty good radiator, I think. This is a pretty custom... All the environment art here was, I think, custom made by Robert Briscoe. So, this is a lot of stuff to pump out. I'm, like, pretty impressed. Let's keep walking around here. Let's go in here. Oh, there's, like, some old paint cans or something. I wish I could like zoom in or something. Oh, I can zoom in if I hold down the right mouse button, but it doesn't zoom in that much. That's kind of disappointing. Keep going. It's just pretty crumbled right here. Old papers, but they're all like messed up or something. That's a shame. A lot of, oh, looks like there's like musical scores or something. That looks like sheet music. That's kind of interesting. I like how that's kind of like this small detail that you wouldn't really notice, right? You would just look down and be like, oh yeah, that's some old paper, and then you would just kind of walk past it. But if you actually do take the time to look at the little details and garbage everywhere, you'd kind of be like, oh, that's kind of interesting. What else is going on here? Oh, like some kind of old book? I don't know what that is. It looks like a pamphlet or something. I don't know, it's kind of hard for me to see things because there's like a dark spot in the middle of the light cookie for this light, for this flashlight. Like this flashlight texture. I wish it was kind of more like homogeneous and full. Oh man, ooh, I really like the really subtle like specular on this. Wait, no, that's just my flashlight. Never mind. Let's keep looking around. Another radiator. I approve. Good radiators here. What's that? Oh, some old playing cards. I think we see a lot of playing cards and sheet music throughout the rest of this game. And it becomes like this recurring visual motif. What else is going on here? Oh, like an old magazine for something. And a kettle. It wouldn't be Britain without a kettle, I guess. An old lantern. And then this old broken window. Oh man, this is a really gorgeous broken window. I really like how sharp all that glass is. It's not really realistic. Like, I don't know. I feel like a glass window wouldn't exactly like fragment like that. But I just really like how interesting all these like different like shapes are. Let's keep looking around. There's a nice sink. I think that sink's from Half-Life 2, but I think Robert Briscoe dirtied it up a little bit. Let's keep walking around here. Oh, this is weird. Oh, it's like radioactive glow-in-the-dark paint. Whoa, what is this? Oh my god. It looks like... Oh right, it's like chemical formula. I have no idea what formula that is. If there are any chemists in the stream, feel free to tell us what formula this is. I don't know what molecule it is though. But I think this is also a recurring motif, if I remember correctly, throughout the game. Let's keep walking around. A dismantled door, some lopsided furniture. Oh man, I love like all this like just garbage and trash everywhere. It's really nice. And I think what helps this work is that the whole room is really dark. And because the whole room is kind of dark, we don't really get like that good of a view of what's going on here. That kind of helps this garbage and detritus. Here it's just mostly a flat texture on like a low polygon mound. But because it's dark, you know, you're not paying that much attention to how the light would catch off of it. Oh, in the stream, people are saying this is ethanol, aka alcohol, or ethane. I don't know what's the difference between ethane and ethanol, though. But I imagine there's some kind of difference. So that's like something like flammable, right? That's like fuel or something. So I guess there's an idea of like fuel or gasoline or something, or getting drunk. Who knows? Anyway, let's keep walking over here. Oh, there's a question about this texture. Is this window dithered? No, I don't think the source engine supported dithering. I just think that's like a pretty nice, crisp... Maybe it is an alpha test texture. I don't know. No, I don't think so. I think there's a lot of partial translucency going on here. Anyway, let's keep walking. But, yeah, a lot of the beauty and... Oh my god, what happened there? Why did I fall down? What? A lot of the beauty of Dear Esther is kind of in these textures. The geometry is relatively low polygon, but if you look at these textures, man, really great. And I love this lighthouse. It's kind of weird that when we go inside, though, we can't actually go up. I don't remember there being a compartment right here to enter this lighthouse. But you know, let's confirm some suspicions. One reason I'm running the source engine version of this is so I can use cheats. Oh, but it disabled cheats. Let me re-enable cheats. And we can investigate some hunches I have. So we were in here, then we went up here. Oh, but I didn't really look up. That's what the problem was. There was this whole collapsed stairwell right here. And it would have led up to this lighthouse. Oh man. It's kind of interesting how he how Robert Briscoe really did model all these railings and stuff. Even though you don't really get a good view of them. Right? I guess if you look up, you get a good view of that spiral, right? Spiral staircases are just beautiful, I think. But notice if we look down, there aren't any actual stairs. So even though even though we can see into this view, Robert Briscoe does kind of moderate himself and doesn't bother modeling the stairs here. Which is a good call, I think. Anyway, let's I think I'm gonna bind this no clip cheat to a hack on. There we go. Okay, so here we are back here. So this lighthouse and this other little shack is supposed to be kind of this first of many landmarks. If we keep exploring the rest of the island, we might be able to see the lighthouse from a different vantage point. And then that way, we'll be able to kind of track how far we've come and how far we've gone. Let's keep going. More paint cans. More just weeds everywhere. I really love the foliage in this game. Robert Briscoe just really pushed the foliage and detail prop engine in the source engine to its maximum limits. He just really cranked it up to 11 in a way that you don't see Half-Life 2 ever really use. Which I think is pretty cool. If we keep going here, more paint cans, a lot of paint cans. I guess that's why there's all this paint here. But then some of the paint is glow in the dark. If we walk around here, more of these broken windows. I really love these windows with these form factors, you know, like that. I love that aspect. It's like a letterbox window. That's beautiful. It kind of has this industrial connotation. I feel you'd only see this kind of thing in some kind of window in a utility shed or for a public bathroom or something. It's not what you usually think of as residential. You know, only old places might have these kinds of windows. But ooh, I really like this boiler. This is pretty nice. It looks custom modeled and everything. Look at that. There's even numbers and gauges on everything. I kind of like how I feel every section of this game has at least one hero prop. And hero props are what we call specialized, really specific, unique set pieces that you use to highlight certain areas. And that idea of a hero prop also helps you read a level better. Here, especially if we let's say we were playing Counter-Strike. In Counter-Strike, it's very common for you to have call-outs for the different map areas. So here I might say if this was a Counter-Strike level or something, it would be kind of weird. But I would say, oh, go to the boat launch, go to the lighthouse. Oh, there's an enemy hiding inside the boiler room. And the boiler room is because there's this furnace here, right? So here environment art actually supports a really important gameplay function of level design. This helps us understand the world in different discrete chunks, and we can help construct our mental map based on those chunks much better. Yeah, and Dear Esther, that's what this Counter-Strike map would be called. Why not? I think it would be too sniper dominant though. That would be a shame. So now here, Dear Esther is kind of messes with you. You do this. You go inside here. and you do, okay, no, that was a dead end, and then you come back out here, and then you walk over here. And then there's a few things going on right here, and it's kind of genius. So first, you have that red antenna blinking far off in the distance. That will get talked about a lot in the voiceovers. So it's like a really important like narrative symbol, but it's also a landmark, what we call like weenies in video game level design, where you want to walk towards that weenie or landmark. Or if you're talking about Half-Life 2, that's like the citadel, where we're always trying to like walk towards that citadel over there. But then, to get there, we now have a choice of two paths, which is kind of interesting. Normally with like a lot of narrative games, you don't associate like a lot of like heavy like choices with this kind of genre, or at least that's the stereotype that a lot of gamers have of narrative type games. So here, Dear Esther is kind of like, okay, there's your destination, now you have to make a hard choice between going on the right or going on the left. What's interesting here is that there's actually like a bunch of different ways this can play out. And here's where the movement in walking simulators or in any first-person game is a lot more complicated than I think people give it credit for. Say we take this route over here on the right, and we walk up this beautiful cliffside. I feel like a lot of gamers might walk on the left first because they would interpret the path on the right as the correct path, as like the critical path. First of all, because there's all these like fences right here, so it seems like developed, so it seems like you would walk along this path, like it's being marked out for us. But also because traditionally in first-person games, you do want like higher ground. Higher ground gives you a strategic, tactical advantage over someone else on lower ground. But when you walk over here, something really interesting happens. This was actually kind of the wrong path. When you walk over here, the path is actually broken, and now you kind of have to choose. Can you like walk over to that gap and mind this gap somehow? Well, you can't really jump in this game. I'm mashing the spacebar right now and it will not let me jump. Or can we like fall down there somehow? Would I get falling damage? Like, what is this game about? But if you're a really cool gamer, what you can do is actually hug this wall to the right and actually get across pretty easily. But that's kind of if you know how to exploit source engine physics a little bit. But I think what happens to most players is they walk over to the right and they don't know how to hug the wall. And if you don't know how to hug the wall, you will probably end up falling down here. And when you fall down here, you're like, ah, fuck. Well, what happened? Do I like walk back here? But then here's where Dear Esther actually marks out another path for you to take, and it shows you that this is maybe like a much better path that you could have taken. It's actually much prettier in a sense. Here we get to look at this gorgeous source engine water with this really great wave shader, by the way. Like, it's just a simple scrolling texture, but I really love how it's just like kind of like patchy here. Like, it's a really great little shader effect here. I think it's a really beautiful waves, like right here. But we basically fell down and we were kind of forced to take this path. Or you might think we were forced to take this path, right? Based on the different paths we could have taken, we started from here and we could have gone to the left or the right. And that's what that map kind of looks like in our heads right now. But again, there's like a secret third strategy where you hug the wall and then you can make it across over here. But I'm going to try to play it as if I were a first-time player of Dear Esther, where I didn't know to do that, and then I fell down, and I feel kind of stupid, but I still want to keep going. Now I'm going to walk over here, and now this sand, oh man, I really like this sand. Like, God, it's so, like the way the terrain blends into each other too is just really beautiful. If you look up like some of Robert Briscoe's behind the scenes like talks or posts or dev diaries about building this, this is not easy to build in the Source engine. This is like a huge pain in the ass to build in the Source engine. Like, each of these is a separate displacement that Robert Briscoe had to manually sew together. It's gonna really mess up the stream quality, I think, when I turn on the wireframe, but I just have to turn on the wireframe a little bit for you right now. Like, it's just really gorgeous the way he's just gotten the geometry to, like, flow like that. Like, that's just really, really hard. Just talk to anyone who's worked in the Source engine and then mention the terrain in Dear Esther, and they'll be like, oh my god, like, Robert Briscoe is a god. And then there's just, like, rocks. There's just, like, so many rocks. Like, when this came out, I think in 2012, this was really, this looked really, really great, even up against big budget AAA games. Partly because Robert Briscoe comes from that AAA tradition, so he knows how to, like, work within that aesthetic, but also just, there's just so many, like, rocks, right? And when you have this many rocks, usually you want to group them together. So each of these rocks was not hand placed. I'm pretty sure what actually happened was Robert Briscoe has like 4 or 5 different clusters of rocks, and he just keeps duplicating, copy and pasting these rocks. So fear not, he didn't actually have to like hand place each rock. But if we were really savvy or really pedantic and weird, we could probably spot duplicate rock croppings. But, you know, let's just maybe move on a little bit. Oh man, look at this sand. Like, just the way he textures the sand here, it's just really, like, the sand has a grain to it. It has like a flow to it on the texture. And that's what like sand does in real life. Hopefully you've been to a beach in real life. And if it's not realistic, I think it's at least what a beach should feel like, at least in my mind. Oh, and then there's all this like random driftwood and stuff. I just love all these like little details everywhere. I think Dear Esther really is like a level designer's kind of game a little bit. Just because all these things rise to the surface that usually get sublimated when you're thinking about combat or shooting people in the face. You pay attention suddenly to more subtle things because that's all you can pay attention to now. Like look at right here. Like, look, there's like, look at this like garbage on the beach. Oh man, this is just gorgeous garbage. These are like crab traps or something. And then there's even like a modeled like cable right here. Oh god, it's just so like beautiful, like how like chunky and crusty it is. It's just like a really beautiful image. Let's keep going over here. The rocks seem to be tapering off over here. Kind of interesting. Maybe he got tired of placing rocks everywhere. Oh, we could, so now we kind of have like another soft kind of choice. We could keep walking over there if we want, or we can go up the stairs to where we should have been. Maybe I'm gonna walk over here. Because maybe, you know, there's like a secret for me to see over here. Gonna walk over here. Oh man, I love how these rocks, like, look at that canyon, how it's like kind of like narrow like that. So we like have to go through this choke point, and then the choke point suddenly opens up. Or like right here, it's kind of like leading our like line of sight around, and we want to like curve around this bend and see what's around it. And then the curve and grain of the sand is also like curving like with us around, you know? It's just like really strong work. Really well done. Oh, now we encountered this like secret little beach with this like, is this the golden ratio or something? I have no idea what this means. I think, to me this looks like a Fibonacci like spiral or something. Too bad Dear Esther in 2012 did not actually predict how the golden ratio would be such a terrible internet meme today in 2017. Like here, now that I see the golden ratio here, it's just almost kind of like a joke now to like my contemporary eyes 5 years later. Let's keep going. Do I go over here? In the stream, people are speculating that I'm masturbating to the environment art in this game because they cannot see the lower half of my body, and I mean, it's difficult to argue with that interpretation. I mean, all I can do is tell you that I'm not masturbating, but because I need both of my hands to control this game, actually. But you know, you can take whatever you will from all this. Oh, I guess I keep going this way. Maybe I didn't have to go back, huh? Oh wait, no, this is a dead end. This is another like fallen rock outcropping. Huh, interesting. Is there anything here? I don't know. I wish the flashlight turned on here. Oh well. Let's keep going. Oh man, I really like look at this shot right here. I'll try to like get out of the way here, so my face isn't like ruining the beautiful composition here, right? Like look at this, just like look at how this like water, there's just like a very subtle like rivulet of like water going through here, like that's just, and it's like slightly reflective, and then all the rocks are like framing it like that. That's just like really, really nice. Really perfect. Okay, let's keep going. Where do I go? I think I have to walk out over here. And I have to backtrack. So this is kind of where I think the game messes with you a little. And this is where I think a lot of walking simulators mess with you. We just invested a lot in exploring this whole path, and it turned out to be a dead end. And now we kind of have to backtrack all the way where we just were. That's actually maybe a little bit of a game mechanic, I would argue. There's now a cost to exploration, where if you're exploring, you might have to walk all the way back. And if you hiked along the English coastline in real life, that's how hiking works, right? If you go explore in a cave, you will have to come back outside of that cave, and that might be really annoying, right? Or if you go hiking somewhere, you have to make sure you've planned enough time for you to hike back before it gets dark. So when people complain about backtracking in these walking simulators and how tedious it can be, I think those people are just kind of being wimps, and those people should go hiking in real life, so that they'll appreciate how a walking simulator actually creates a real cost to movement and exploration like that. Where now you really have to choose to go there and see, because there's no power-up, there's no health kit, there's no like items or augmentation pickups waiting for you at the end of that little dead end. There's only like the satisfaction of seeing that dead end or seeing a beautiful view, right? Oh, and then there's our landmark. Remember, there's our lighthouse. Look at how far we've come, right? And this is where the level design is just really genius. Like, I really love how it sets us up so that we're walking up these stairs, so that we're looking up a little bit, and when we're looking up a little bit, it's just framing our view, and we notice that lighthouse peeking over the edge of that cliff really well. Let's keep going this way. Man, I really like the dynamic sky too. Like, the dynamic sky really is just like a scrolling texture. Let me turn on the wireframe again. Like, the sky is basically what we call like a sky dome, where it's just a flat hollowed out sphere, as you can see right here. And then on that flat hollowed out sphere, we put overlay a cloud texture on there. Or in this case, I feel like he's overlaying like several layers of cloud texture layers on top of each other to create kind of this cool cloud scrolling effect. So yeah, it really is beautiful, I think. I agree. It's also kind of unusual in the tradition of source engine mapping because if you play through Half-Life 2, Half-Life 2 does not have scrolling skies. The only time you see Valve employ scrolling clouds and stuff is in maybe like some Counter-Strike maps. I think they have like scrolling clouds, but otherwise a lot of most source engine games don't. They usually just rely on a static skybox. And there's no specific technical reason why you wouldn't do that. I think it's just whether, like, it does feel kind of video gamey a little bit. Right? Skybox textures can usually just stay static and not moving because that's our experience of skies most of the time, right? If you are standing still enough to notice clouds moving, either the clouds are moving really fast and there's like a storm coming, or maybe because you're standing so still and you finally can notice clouds very subtly moving. Here, the clouds are moving so fast, it's almost like, yeah, there is like a storm brewing or something, right? Keep walking here. Oh man, just look at all this like foliage. And then I really like how the path starts becoming like more unreadable and broken up. Like, as I'm walking here, oh, am I supposed to like go up here now? Or should I keep following that path? Or is that the right path? And I think that's where Dear Esther is really interesting, where it's sometimes hard, actually, to discern what the real path is. Like, maybe I should walk up there. I don't know. Can I walk up there? Will it even let me? I don't know. Maybe. And it turns out... No, I can't walk. Oh, wait, no. Is it letting me walk up here? No, it's not. Ugh. I wish I could jump in this game. I mean, I know you're not supposed to be able to jump in this game, and that's not the point, but I think when I play, like, when I play, like, Skyrim or something, I think my favorite part of Skyrim is, like, jumping on all these rocks and, like, mountain climbing along the boundary of the game world. But I guess I can't break that sequence, sorry. I'll just keep walking along this path obediently. And if we look down, we get to see like more of a path we could potentially see later. More environmental details right here. You'll notice there's some like cuts in the rock there. I think we'll actually revisit those later. We get to see some standing stones, kind of, over there, over the edge, kind of. Or here's some standing stones over here even. And if you're, if you've never been to like England or Europe or anything, if you're like a filthy American like me, the idea of like standing stones everywhere is kind of weird. Like, you walk around the US and there aren't like ancient ruins everywhere. But then you go to like England and it's like, oh yeah, there's some ancient ruins over there. Let's go walk over there. Or you go and like, I was like walking around France one year and there was like these like ancient standing stones in the middle of like this random farm in the middle of nowhere, and I'm like, why, how can they just have ancient ruins like that? It's weird, but that's also what makes this landscape feel like English and not like a different kind of geography, right? Oops, sorry. Let's keep walking here, I guess. Barbed wire still preventing us from walking over that edge. Okay, fine. I get it. And as we keep hiking, again, admire this beautiful foliage. One criticism that some people have of the foliage in Dear Esther is that Robert Briscoe relies a lot on sprites, or what we call billboard sprites. notice this plant is actually like looking at us all the time, no matter where we go. Some people find this like very distracting, as if the plants are like alive and they're like always staring at us, and it's like kind of like creepy or something. But personally, I argue I don't really get that effect because there's just so many of them. And you kind of learn to like see past these individual plants and like try to take in the whole view for what it is. Like, it's just so dense. Like half the time I can't even tell that all these plants are always rotating to face me. I have to like really look up there and like really like smell it and really like stick my nose in there to try to see what's up, to really like smell it. Oh, is my camera working? I think my camera has stopped. Oh well. Oh well. You'll just, I guess, play without that. Hold on. There we go. Yeah, I'm not gonna be like some weird like Doom man in the lower, like lower middle of the screen. That would be kind of weird. But if my camera's gonna break, it's okay. I'll roll with it. So we have to keep walking down here. And now you can see all these rocks over here. And now it's kind of cool because we get to see the lighthouse where we were before. We get to see this broken, beached little like ruined boat over here. We get to see this cave over here. Oh, should I go inside that cave? I don't know. Or am I supposed to go back here where obviously the game wants me to go, towards that blinking red light? And you're like, where should I go? And I just really do miss this kind of generation of level design, because I think it is kind of dying out, where just so many games always have objective indicators everywhere. So many games always have to tell you where to go and where you're supposed to go. They don't trust you on this fundamental level to like make your own choices, and that's just kind of annoying. I think that takes out a lot of what makes moving through a world interesting. Oh, what's this? These look like, I think these are supposed to be like nerve axons or something. And now these nerve axons are interacting with like the ethanol chemical formula we saw graffitied in the lighthouse way back when. Oh man, what else is over here? I don't know what shape that is. Just all these like mysterious like dendrites and like glyphs everywhere. And then I'll walk back here outside of the cave. Okay, let me no-clip back. I really love how Robert Briscoe constructs these caves. Again, let me turn on the wireframe real quick to kind of give you a sense of how they're built. So it actually looks like, oh, I think he built these stalactites or stalagmites. I think stalactites are the ones on the ceiling, right? And then stalagmites are the one in the ground. It looks like he hand built these stalactite-mites in the level editor because they're colored green, which means they are fairly low polygon, hand built in the hammer editor. And you'll notice most of the base cave geometry is also this green wireframe. And then over here, you'll notice here this blue wireframe. This blue wireframe means those were like modeled in Maya, and then he imported those models and did not hand build them in the level editor. So very interesting what he chose to make in the level editor and what he chose to like make in Maya. I would have thought these stalactites were built in Maya, but I guess not. Very interesting. Oh, in the chat, someone's asking about terminology. Yeah, polygons are triangles. Or at least the way I'm gonna talk about them. They're triangles. Anyway, that was that cool cave. I do like how this cave bends around a little bit. Like here you can see you walk here, but you can't really see what's inside the cave, right? So when you're over here, all you can see is the dark part of the cave. So it just looks like extra mysterious. So you really have to walk around and then see what's actually happening there. Anyway, what's happening? Okay, before we go on, I kind of want to review where we went. So we started over here in this lighthouse area. This lighthouse area, there's no way around it, so we had to go this way. When we went this way, we had this rock slide area where you could have fallen down or you could have made it across. Oh, but if you make it across, oh, that's interesting. There's actually like a bonus cave right here. Let's go inside this bonus cave. Now we're in this very dark cave. What is over here? Oh, it's just like a little viewing port if you walk here. I feel like it's changing my field of view. Does anyone else feel like that? Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe I'm imagining it. I feel like it's changing my field of view when I walk up here, though. Games can do weird, like, perception stuff like that. Okay, oh, so this cave is just a way for us to spot. It's like a viewing cave. It's like a vista, is what Valve calls them, so that we can spot this other cave. That's kind of interesting. Oh, I should check the value in the console. I think they disabled the field of view command. So I actually can't double check what the field of view is, sorry. Okay, let's go back here. Let's walk over here. Then the path looked like that, and I walked over here to this outcropping over here. But then now is a dead end, so now I have to circle back here. Go around these rocks, go up here, climb up all that stuff. Go around this bend over here. What I think a lot of people don't appreciate about the Dear Esther level design is also in the verticality of things. Like, this is a really huge drop, but the climb and the ascent is actually just really like so subtle that you don't really like notice how high up you are until you're over here and you look down and you're like, oh, actually I am really high up. And if you're one of those people that's like very sensitive to camera perspectives in first-person games, you might get a little bit of vertigo from this view right here. Then we went all the way around right here. I think he does something very clever here with these red plants that keep staring at us. He uses them to actually mark out this path right here. So the red plants, these red flowers, kind of like are like railings a little bit, and they help mark out this path. He also actually literally marks out the path with dirt like that, right? If you zoom out, it becomes much more apparent, but when you're down there on the ground, it's actually kind of much more confusing, and it does get lost a lot more, right? Then we walked all the way down there and went inside that cave. Look at all those rocks. Oh my god. 1,000,000 rocks. I'm very impressed by how many rocks are right here. I'm not even joking. I'm like half joking. Okay, let's keep going. Oh yeah, in the chat, they're talking about the texture tiling. The texture tiling, like you don't even notice it because the geometry is just so perfectly sculpted and modeled that like you don't really notice all the like repetition and tiling going on, right? Like notice like this shape right here is like this shape right here. The texture is tiling, but yeah, again, you just don't notice because there's so much light going on and there's so many different shapes going on. Let me no clip back and start walking again. And I think this is also where, if you might remember, John Carmack, he kind of led his engine development to adopt a technology called mega texturing, where the idea was that you wouldn't need to tile textures ever again because every like square inch of your entire game world could have unique textures. And I think this game world shows that actually texture tiling isn't really that big of a problem in the end, right? Where you actually don't really notice texture repetition that much if you are just so masterful with how you are building your environment out and adding enough variety everywhere. Let's keep walking around. Oh man, I love how this like opens up too, right? Like we start here in this like section right here, and then we slowly walked in this valley, and it's just framing the view perfectly, right? You can't help but look at that blinking red antenna in the distance. And then we come back here, cross all these standing stones. Again, I think if you don't really live, if you live in the US, your experience of standing stones is pretty much in video games. So like when I see this, I don't think, oh, this is so England. Like my gut level reaction is, oh yeah, this is like a weird fantasy landscape. Okay. So I guess everyone has like different connotations and like attachments to all these little details. Oh man, I really like this water effect. Am I supposed to go up here? I think I'm supposed to go up here. Or am I not supposed to go up here? I don't know. Maybe it looks like I'm not supposed to. It just looks so like inviting though. But I guess I'm not supposed to go there. I guess they do put up fences up there. My bad. One fun anecdote I have about the original Dear Esther, the 2008 mod. I remember I was one of the first people to like play it because it was just like this random mod that no one had heard of back then. I remember playing it and I could not, and I was around this area where there were standing stones in the original mod too, and I had no idea where I was supposed to go, and I kind of like just rage quit and just stopped playing for a little while and had to come back to it later. But I think this version, this remaster, has done a lot better of a job like signposting where to go. What's over here? Oh man, I love how narrow this gets too. And then it really does kind of like feel claustrophobic compared to like how big and open the rest of this area does. Oh. And I guess that's a level change. Oh gosh. Okay, well, that's been about an hour. I think I'm going to stop here. Tune in next week. Maybe I'll do like maybe 1 or 2 more weeks of Dear Esther. Although at this rate, playing through Dear Esther is like gonna take forever. But, you know, we'll see. Maybe I'll be a little bit faster in the future. But thanks for hanging out today, and see you next week. I'll probably do a little bit more Dear Esther, and hopefully my webcam won't suddenly die halfway through the stream. Anyway, thanks, and see you next week. Bye.